Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Daisy from Clean Air Partnership, and with me today we have representatives from IESO and Enbridge, and they will highlight programs applicable to municipal energy efficiency and electrification efforts for corporate buildings, and discuss potential suggestions for the upcoming conservation and demand management and demand-side management framework consultations. This is just the first part of this conversation. While listening about the existing programs, we encourage you to think what are your needs for your net zero roadmaps and how IESO and Enbridge can align their programs so that can help you in your net zero efforts. And we will revise this question in a separate meeting with just the corporate energy managers, either in the summer or in the early fall. I'll be coming back to discuss this, like what is the best time for us to discuss this, by the end of today's webinar. Before we move to the presentations, I wanted to start with land acknowledgement. Clean Air Partnership is a Toronto-based organization, and we acknowledge that the land on which we operate is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. In our effort to do more meaningful land acknowledgement, we show short videos where we can learn something more about the Indigenous culture and life. In this video, we'll learn more about why Indigenous people respect their elders.
Why do Indigenous peoples care for and respect their elders so much? Well, I'll tell you. Our old ones, our elders, they are the ones that help guide us through life. We care for them because in exchange, they are the ones that teach us how to walk in a good way. They are the ones that show us how and where to walk so that we can find our Minnow Bamadzo our good life. Many of our elders were the ones who were forced to face the oppressive acts that happened in residential school and boarding schools, and through their resiliency retained their culture so that we can have our culture here today. Our elders are the ones with the knowledge to bring life into this world, guide them through the four hills of life, and guide them with the proper instructions that when the time comes, they can move from this world into the next. That's why we respect our elders so much, and Chimigwech for watching.
Miigwech for watching as well. So our agenda is packed. Right after this slide, I'm going to pass it to Vicky from IESO, and she will present their programs. Then Shibash from IESO will talk about the energy performance programs. After that, Andres will take it away. He's from Enbridge, and we'll talk about the commercial programs. And we'll conclude the presentation part with Mark Wilson from Enbridge on municipal energy solution offerings. After that, we'll have a Q&A session where we can answer your questions. Meanwhile, feel free to write your questions in the chat box, and I'll be monitoring them so we can answer them at the end. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it now to Vicky.
Okay, can you see my...
Yes.
Okay, excellent, great. Okay, so I'm Vicky Gagno with the IESO. I work in demand side management, and I'm a business advisor for the public sector, including municipalities. And today I'll provide an update on Save on Energy incentive programs available to the municipal sector. For those of you who aren't familiar with the IESO, we manage the electricity grid in Ontario on a minute-to-minute basis. We plan for the province's future energy needs, and we manage energy efficiency across the province. And municipalities have been active participants in the retrofit program. Over 80% of municipalities have applied for at least one project, receiving $18 million in incentives since 2019 and representing 15 megawatts of demand savings and 181 gigawatt hours of energy savings. And 80% of that has been in lighting. That's represented by the blue part of the chart. So our largest incentive program is the retrofit program, and it offers incentives for switching out inefficient equipment with more efficient equipment. And it's available for all commercial, industrial, institutional, and multi-residential facilities. There are incentives for lighting controls and HVAC equipment and variable speed drives. And last year, the custom track was reintroduced in the spring, along with some other updates, including increased incentives. So the retrofit custom track incentives are $1,200 a kilowatt or 13 cents a kilowatt hour for energy savings. And the $1 million incentive cap was removed, but the 50% project cost cap still remains in place. And networked lighting controls incentives have also moved from a per square foot basis to a kilowatt hour basis. So now it's incented at 35 cents a kilowatt hour. And then in October, there were additional program updates, including incentive increases for prescriptive non-lighting measures, which have doubled, or some of them have even increased 3 or 4 times, including air source heat pumps. And then in December, the Instant Discounts program for lighting launched. And in this program, incentives are paid directly to distributors, enabling them to offer instant point of sale discounts on energy efficient lighting to customers. And if you're interested in an instant discount for lighting measures, you can find a participating distributor on the Save on Energy website. There are over 350 participating distributors across the province. You just purchase your lighting from them and you provide the installation address at checkout, and they will apply the discount at the point of sale. No paperwork is required. But these instant discounts are only available in retrofit situations. They are not available for new construction, as the building code is such that you should be using LED in new construction anyway. And at this time, lighting controls, occupancy sensors, and network lighting controls will continue to be incented through the retrofit program prescriptive track. And it's important to note that a participant cannot participate in both programs. You can either participate in the retrofit for incentives, or instant discounts can be levered for a single project, but not both. And if you were pre-approved for and plan to take advantage of retrofit incentives, we strongly advise you to speak to your lighting distributor to ensure that they don't apply any instant discount incentives to your lighting purchases, or you won't be eligible for the retrofit incentive that you had previously been approved for. Some additional incentive adders are available for certain areas of the province where electricity constraints exist. So prescriptive non-lighting incentives are double in Niagara, Kingston, Southern Huron-Perth, Pembroke, Kenora, Wabashine, Barrie-Muskoka, Elmira, and Peterborough-Belleville. So prescriptive non-lighting measures are doubled in those areas. And for HVAC, there are incentives for rooftop units, chillers, heat pumps, fan motors, HVAC controls, and demand control ventilation. And I have an example of incentives for rooftop unit controls. For this case study, we have advanced RTU controls being applied through the prescriptive track. And the controls are for 10 rooftop units. And the project cost was $35,000, and the incentive was $15,000, or 46% of the project cost. And we've had some questions about whether you can receive both Enbridge and Save on Energy incentives for the same equipment. And yes, it is possible, particularly for HVAC equipment that saves both gas and electricity. You get incentives from Enbridge for the gas savings and from Save on Energy for the electricity savings. And in order to apply, you need to create an account at the Save on Energy retrofit website and apply in advance of ordering or purchasing the equipment. And after the equipment is installed, you send a post-project information to the program to receive the incentive. So that was the retrofit program. On to existing building commissioning program. This program helps you get your building back and functioning the way it was designed. The EBCX program provides funds to help hire a commissioning agent to identify savings opportunities and it incents the savings that are resulted from the process. It's intended for buildings that are no longer operating at the optimum specifications or ones that have shifted the use of space. And it's mainly for operational changes to get the building back into operating at a performance that it was intended to. The incentives come in 3 phases. The first is the investigation phase. The incentives are up to 6 cents a square foot, capped at $50,000. Then after you implement the recommendations coming out of the investigation, there's an incentive of 3 cents a kilowatt hour for the savings. And then after a year, in order to demonstrate the persistence of savings, they come back and you're incented at 3 cents a kilowatt hour for the savings. So in theory, it's an incentive of 6 cents a kilowatt hour of savings. It's just delivered in 2 parts. One, when the savings is delivered, and the other after a year to ensure that the savings persist. And again, this program was designed to help you get your building back to operating the way it was originally designed. And last week, I was with the university energy managers, and a number of them are using the EBCX program, and they're learning that all of their BASs have been overridden. And so the EBCX program has been really helpful to both de-risk the hiring of a recommissioning agent, as well as the savings that they are finding has been enough to help put off transformer upgrades that are in the works due to the electrification process. The next program, the Energy Performance Program, is it takes a holistic approach to the energy savings and can focus on both operational and behavioral and capital savings. And you get paid on the performance of your energy savings. And there's a new tiered incentive rates of 15 cents a kilowatt hour on peak and 4 cents a kilowatt hour off peak. And I believe the next speaker, Shivansh, is going to go into the EPP more in depth. So I will let them talk about the new automated measurement and verification process that's going to help establishing baselines much easier, because that had been a barrier in the past. So I'll let them tell you about the details of the EPP program. On to the Strategic Energy Management Program, which supports organizations that have an energy management team, so 2 or more people who work on energy issues, and it provides primarily technical training and support. It's a 2-year program delivered in a cohort manner, and it helps organizations put in place the policies, procedures, and documentation and help establish baselines and measurement and verification. And there are some incentives toward non-incented savings. So you can still apply to the other programs, the retrofit and EPP, for incentives. And any savings outside of those programs, you can be incented through the Strategic Energy Management Program. And there are some enabling incentives, including meters and software to help manage the energy. And I believe a couple of municipalities are already participating in a multi-site SEM cohort that started last year, and it includes some school boards and some commercial organizations. And I believe they recently created a municipal-specific SEM cohort that's just getting started right now. So contact us if you're interested in participating in this cohort. It doesn't cost anything to be part of the SEM program. Training and support. There continue to be incentives for up to 50% toward training initiatives, and for some certification courses, Enbridge incents 25% for a total of 75% incentives. And we've recently added a few new courses to the eligibility list, including for GHG reduction. So all of the programs that I just spoke about currently have an end date for application of December of this year. However, we have received a ministerial letter from the Minister of Energy asking the IESO to provide input into what happens after that. So a more enduring funding framework, so something beyond the 4-year time frame to help provide a more sustained market confidence in energy efficiency, and also look at beneficial electrification programs. And to look at load shifting, as well as distributed energy resources, and enhanced involvement of local distribution companies, the LDCs, as well as enhanced coordination between electricity and natural gas DSM programs. So that's sort of the high-level principles. The details are still being worked out. And with that, I will pass it on to the EPP program.
Thanks so much, Vicky. Just to remind everyone, write your questions in the chat box. We'll have time after that to review them. Now we are passing it to Shivansh from IESO, who will present the energy performance programs.
Thank you so much, Daisy, for the introduction. And Vicky, thank you for breaking down what the Save on Energy umbrella has to offer so far. I'm going to dive in a little bit more in detail in terms of the energy performance program. We're going to go through what kind of eligibility requirements there are. We're going to look at the incentive structure and some extra tools and resources that the program has for you as somebody who manages a facility in terms of energy consumption. So the energy performance program has an approach where it looks holistically at an entire facility in terms of what demand it pulls and what the annual kilowatt hours usage is. And we look at it before any implementation of projects and develop a baseline model based off of the facility. And then we allow the customer to have an energy savings plan and go and implement that plan. And then we move forward to record the next 12 months of data in order to compare apples to apples and say, here's the energy savings we see from whether it be several projects you've done, whether it's operational changes, behavioral changes. For example, a BAS system was running at full load and nobody was actually managing it or optimizing it. This is something that might be beneficial in order to get an incentive from. But not only that, it's something that if you had an operational behavioral change, sometimes it doesn't qualify for some of the other programs. So like I said, it's dependent on comparing the annual metered consumption of a baseline model compared to after the project and seeing exactly what the numbers look like, exactly what the data looks like, and optimizing your facility based off of that. The new tiered incentive rates are 15 cents per kilowatt hour for on-peak savings, and it's 4 cents per kilowatt hour for off-peak savings. And I'll get into a little bit more detail into that in a little bit here. In terms of who can participate in the energy performance program, it's a lot like the the retrofit program. It's a lot like the EBCX program, where it is anybody that owns a commercial, institutional, multi-residential, anything that's essentially not a residential property like a house, they can apply for this program. Another requirement that is implemented for this program is that the general service account, or what it says on your utility bill in terms of your peak demand pull, needs to be greater than 50 kilowatts. And that's a very small barrier of entry. So we're hoping to get a lot of participation in this program with these changes being implemented. And the commitment for this energy performance program is a 3-year commitment in which you have to achieve at least 5% in terms of energy savings when we compare the baseline data to any new models created after implementation of projects. And it is a 3-year pay for performance program in which you get paid at the end of each year after the measuring period has begun, or the pay for performance program recording has begun, in order to see what the difference is really. So you do get paid out 3 years compared to the baseline. So if you continue to implement more projects throughout those 3 years, you can really maximize and leverage this program to get the most money off of the table available to you. There is a requirement to have 12 months of hourly interval meter data available. And that's what we reference in terms of creating a baseline model for your facility. And that's what we always reference when we're looking at what your energy savings per year are as well. What kind of projects are eligible? Again, I touched on this a little bit earlier. It could be any kind of capital project that does include retrofit projects, anything that is an operational improvement, optimization of BAS systems, or maybe you're arranging your set points differently in terms of any kind of lighting controls, anything like that. You can definitely leverage this program in those cases. But again, it is a program that's designed to be as much work as you can put in. That's the kind of reward you'll receive from it. So you are allowed to be as creative as you can be. There are a couple scenarios where you won't be eligible. And Vicky touched on this in briefly in the end of her slides there, where maybe they're looking into that in the future. But as of now, behind the meter generation, any kind of fuel switching, or any kind of projects that have already received incentives from other IESO programs, those would be considered ineligible in terms of the facility itself. Okay. And I do want to jump into the program enhancements. For those of you that are new to the program, all of this will be new information. But for those of you that maybe have participated prior, this will be changes that have been recently introduced. And I think they're all kind of changes that lower the barrier of entry into this program and really let people take advantage of the program and leverage it for any kind of future projects that they have. So participants used to require 1,500 megawatt hours annually as a minimum consumption of a facility to be eligible. Again, I mentioned that is no longer the case. The only thing we look at is the demand pull, and it needs to be greater than 50 kilowatts on that general service account in terms of the utility bill. Smaller facilities don't need to be aggregated anymore. Again, that was something that was a symptom of the minimum that was required, so 1,500 megawatt hours. So that has been removed as well. I do want to focus on the money because that is, kind of the main point of this is that the new incentive structure is a lot better than what the old one used to be, as the old one was just a general daily kilowatt hour report. Whereas the new incentive, you can actually get more incentive based off of the on-peak demand. And in terms of off-peak hours, you can get 4 cents per kilowatt hour. So again, as you see the numbers here, 15 cents per kilowatt in terms of on-peak summer demand. That means business days between June 1st and August 31st, between the hours of 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. And I'd like to introduce also the latest enhancement to the program. A lot of this program used to be paper-based and report-based, and now it's been optimized in a portal altogether where you can upload all your documents. There's an automated system in the background that develops your baseline energy model based off of the hourly consumption data that is provided. And as you go through with the implementation of your projects, it also gives you various reporting tools, data analytics, and an opportunity to screen how you're tracking along the year. So you could, for example, in your year one, you can submit 3 months worth of data and see how are we doing? Are we actually achieving the targets that we're trying to get to? And you can make decisions based off of that if you need to pivot in any which way. So just an example of what the portal workflow looks like. What we require from you in terms of overall, if you wanted to sign up today and participate, would just be general facility information, administrative, like address, utility account number. We would need the 12 months of energy consumption data in terms of whether you get that from your LDC or your local utility company. And we would also need some sort of energy savings plan just as a high level. So for example, if you said we're doing a chiller replacement, we're getting all our lights switched, and we're also optimizing our building automated system, that can all just be written up in a quick 1-2 pager just to explain the details, and then we'll track it as it goes along through the system. The rest of the process is all automated. As the results on the far right column shows, you get your EPP savings estimates, you get your incentive estimates. You can always look up live data in terms of what you can upload immediately. You can make reports and bring that to any kind of stakeholders that you want to showcase this to and say, hey, look at all the great work we've done in the past 2 years. This is the results of it, and these are the incentives that we're receiving. So overall, we've definitely made some enhancements to this program that we're trying to make it easier for you to achieve those goals for yourself. This is just an example of what the baseline modeling looks like. So there is a baseline period, as you can see in the first part of the graph in 2019 as an example. This would be the 12 months of data that we collect from you and develop that model for you. There will be a phase where you install your project. And once the project is installed, we begin a reporting period. And that would be another 12 months of data that we collect. And basically the delta between the two results in the kilowatt hour savings, and that's directly tied to what the incentive structure is.
I do have a small case study here. This was at a community center back in 2020, and they were in the program for 2 years in the old framework. In the first years, they got around 167,000 in terms of kilowatt hour savings. They were paid out at the end of that year. And at the end of year two, they had received around 70,000 in terms of kilowatt hour savings as well. And they received around $2,800 in terms of what the incentive amount was. So overall, you can see that depending on the work that they've done or the initiative that they put behind actually achieving these energy savings, they get a direct payment, paid out year over year. As this example, in the old framework, it was a 2-year program. They've increased it to a 3-year program. So you can definitely leverage this up until 2027 as of today. So just summarize, if you wanted to sign up today, if you want to reach out to me, you can get a copy of the participant agreement from me, and that would be required in terms of getting a signature to be a part of the program. Basic information about the facility. We would need at least 12 months of hourly electrical consumption data from a revenue grade meter. So you could reach out to whoever your local utility company is or your energy service provider would be, and they can provide you with that. And we're happy to help you from our end if you're, kind of getting no response or anything like that is going on. And we would also need a copy of the most recent facility electric utility bill. And that's just to make sure that you meet that minimum of 50 kilowatt in terms of your demands. And otherwise, it is a very hands-off automated system. It allows you to prepare a plan for your facility. It can be up to 1, 2, 3 years, right? And you just focus on business as usual, whereas we take care of the rest of the work, really. So I think there's a lot of advantages to this program, and it's definitely worth diving into. So if there is anything that you think would be most benefited from this program, you can definitely reach out to us. One of the important things I want to point out here is that there are some dates that we have to look out for. As this framework is coming to an end, we need to get approval by December 31st, 2024, so the end of this year. Each facility will get 3 annual pay for performance periods, and the program is scheduled to end by December 31st, 2027. Okay. Additional resources, I can always provide you guys with, direct information. I can provide you links to other resources like the requirements, technical guides, the participant agreement, even the FAQs. I can provide that information to all of you. Who do you contact if you have questions or you want to sign up? It's best that you email info@energyperformanceprogram.ca. That goes directly to our system, and you'll probably end up speaking with me in most cases. There is also a service desk, which can be accessible for you. They typically take your requests, they ticket the item, and they'll send it over to us. So that's another avenue you can reach us at. Otherwise, you can reach the EPP Energy Performance Program website for any additional information. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Shivansh. Just to confirm, there's no competitiveness in participating in this program, so whoever wants can just apply and reach out?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, thanks for that. And now we are moving to Andres. We see the last slide, Andres.
Hi, do you see my screen?
Yeah, and I see, yes.
Oh, the last slide.
This is the last slide, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Yes, hi everyone. My name is Andres Serrano, and I am an Energy Solutions Advisor with Enbridge Gas for the municipality sector in the GTA. Today, I will be talking to you about Enbridge's 2024 Commercial Energy Efficiency Program and how we support our customers by way of financial incentives to take on energy efficiency projects. So to start things off, Enbridge has been supporting our customers since 1995. and we have given out over $228 million in incentives to commercial and industrial businesses. In the commercial sector alone, we have enabled 8.9 billion lifetime cubic meters of natural gas saved, which has resulted in 16.8 million tons of GHG reduction, which is equivalent to 3.6 million cars off the road for 1 year. While financial incentives is one way we support our customers, you can also come to us for insights on where the market is going in terms of energy efficiency, or if you require recommendations on consultants, contractors, or vendors. One thing to note, though, is that we always put the customer first, so you don't need to worry about any biases from us. So there are 2 avenues we can explore with you when you are in the early stages of considering an energy efficiency project. Under the current commercial incentive offering, we provide financial support by ways of fixed incentives or the custom incentive offering. At an Enbridge Solutions Advisor can help guide you and provide recommendations on which path is more suited for your project to ensure you receive the maximum benefit out of the program. So to start things off, I'll first go through the fixed incentive offer. So the fixed incentive offer covers 9 common energy efficiency measures. The great thing about this program is that it provides you, the customer, with an idea upfront of the amount of incentive you can receive for implementation of an energy efficiency equipment. So a lot of the calculations for this offering is done on the back end, and the incentive is mainly based on the specifications of that particular equipment. So for example, if you are considering an energy recovery ventilator, the incentive will be based on the sensible effectiveness and operating CFM. So it's really easy to determine on your own what type of incentive you will receive. But of course, I always recommend to reach out to your advisor so that they can dial in on the exact amount for you. Part of the fixed incentive offer, you can receive up to 50% of project costs to a maximum of $100,000 per project. So every year we have special offers, and this year for our fixed incentive offer, we have enhanced incentives for ozone laundry, destratification fans, and multi-install demand control kitchen ventilation projects. Reach out to us so that you can get more information on how you can be eligible for these enhanced offers. I didn't include them in the presentation just because of time, but you're still eligible to apply for these incentives, as you have up until September 30th to purchase the equipment, and the equipment must be installed and paperwork submitted by October 31st, 2024. So reach out to our general inbox at energyservices@enbridge.com to get more information on the terms and conditions. And that wraps up the fixed incentive offer. So moving into the custom incentive offer, the custom offering allows you to receive incentives year-round for energy assessments and custom projects. Starting with the energy assessment, we provide our customers with funding to take on HVAC control audits, facility air balances, benchmarking activities, thermal surveys, and steam trap audits. The energy assessments will have to be conducted on a facility with at least 100,000 cubic meters of natural gas consumption in the previous year. And this incentive is on a first come, first served basis. And you cannot, unfortunately, combine multiple facilities to reach the 100,000 cubic meters consumption threshold. I have also processed a few applications this year for Pathway to Net Zero studies. As we know that municipalities are very keen on having this study done on their facility. So definitely reach out to us, and we'll make sure that we can support these type of energy assessments. The next aspect of the custom offering is the custom project offering. So we consider any project that reduces natural gas eligible, so long as there is an approved way of calculating the gas savings. So some examples of custom projects include waste heat recovery, boiler upgrades, building automation system and ventilation controls, and variable frequency drives. Under the custom program, we offer 25 cents per cubic meter of natural gas saved, up to 50% of upgrade cost to a maximum of $100,000 per project. So like our fixed incentives, we also have special offers for custom projects. More specifically, we have boiler early bird offer and controls early bird offer. So for boiler, the boiler EBO, we are offering 50 cents per cubic meter of natural gas saved for condensing boilers and 30 cents for high efficiency boilers. You're still eligible if you're able to commit to a boiler replacement by June 30th and have the boiler in service by October 31st. If we look at the controls early bird offer, it is also double the standard incentive rate, and same timelines apply here. If you commit by June 30th and have the controls in service by October 31st, you will be eligible for the double incentive. So some examples of control projects include boiler controls, building automation system, variable frequency drives, and variable air volume. Both early bird offers can also receive up to 75% of upgrade costs to a maximum of $100,000 per project. So this is the last year we will be offering incentives for boilers with an efficiency between 85 to 89%. And incentives for boilers with an efficiency greater than 90% will be significantly smaller in 2025. These changes are a result of Amendment 15, which is a directive passed by the Government of Canada that stipulates that starting in 2025, boilers manufactured between 300,000 and 10 million BTUs per hour must have a minimum efficiency of 90%. So that's why we have increased our incentives this year to double the standard incentive rate to encourage our customers who are on the fence of replacing an old boiler to do it this year. And we have also increased our incentive for control projects to encourage our customers to start considering other measures for our incentive program. Historically, boilers have been the most popular measure in our program, so this will be a huge change for our customers starting in 2025. So another special offer we had this year was the hybrid rooftop unit limited time offer. We were offering up to $10,000 per unit for customers that were looking to change from a standard RTU to a dual fuel RTU. A dual fuel RTU is a heat pump with gas heating backup, with the expectation that the heat pump will operate for most of the heating season, with the gas backup only coming on during the coldest of days. This offering is meant to support our customers that are currently on their path to net zero. We had budgeted for 200 units, and we were fully subscribed by the end of March. So the offer is currently expired. I should say the enhanced offer is currently expired, but you can still work with your advisor to determine if you qualify for the standard 25 cents per cubic meter of natural gas saved. So to end things off, as we see electrification develop and customers shift away from gas, Enbridge can still play a vital role in your net zero goals. As we know, electrification can be expensive, and the best way to minimize costs for the switch is to first consider energy conservation. By minimizing your building load, you will reduce your GHG emissions now, reduce the eventual capital cost to electrify, and minimize the impact you will have on the electrical grid. So please reach out to us if you have any upcoming projects that are part of your net zero journey. And I should also add that Enbridge also offers RNG and clean energy technologies like hybrid heating and geothermal, which can also be part of your plan to net zero. And yeah, that is all I have for today. So thank you for your time. And yeah, if there's any questions at the end of this session, I'll stay on to answer anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andres. We will move now to the next presentation. And we are moving well with time, which is great. So we'll have time for questions at the end. But now, Mark, you can take it away.
First, I gotta unmute myself. Can anyone see? Yes.
Yes.
You can see the Municipal Energy Solutions title
Yes.
slide. Perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Municipal Energy Solutions is a small team that Enbridge Gas created in 2020, and it's dedicated to supporting municipal climate change action. I'm the senior advisor on that team. We got a huge boost in December 2022 when the Ontario Energy Board approved a new multi-year DSM plan for us, and it included, an annual budget to support the work of our team. So it wasn't a huge surprise because while the guiding principles of conservation have largely stayed consistent over the past 30 years, they too are evolving to meet challenges like climate change. So that's why the secondary objective of for conservation is to help lower overall average annual natural gas usage, play a role in meeting Ontario's greenhouse gas reduction goals, and create opportunities to defer and or avoid future natural gas infrastructure projects. What is clear today is the increased focus and priority that our regulator, the Ontario Energy Board, is now placing on this objective. It's why the Municipal Energy Solutions team was created and why the Ontario Energy Board enabled us with an annual budget to support municipalities. So our current DSM multi-year plan commenced on the 1st of January, 2023, and it's a 3-year term that will take us to the end of next year. The 2022 Ontario Energy Board decision also included strong indicators of conservation program delivery to 2030, and perhaps a 5-year term to get us there beginning in 2026. And we're currently in the process of developing that very multi-year demand-side management plan. So we wanted to ensure that we continued to align our program offerings to fit the needs of municipalities and, of course, other stakeholders. But Municipal Energy Solutions, in this case, specifically led a municipal survey between January and March of this year to capture views and priorities concerning energy efficiency and conservation, with particular emphasis on the reduction of natural gas consumption. We sent surveys to 71 municipalities. We got 42 individual municipalities participating, and in doing so, they ensured that the municipal voice will be reflected in our multi-year demand-side management plan submission to the board later this year. So I want to do a deeper dive into what Municipal Energy Solutions does now. And admittedly, not everything you'll hear is relevant to your specific, role at your municipality. But really, my objective isn't just to tell you what we do today, but to give you a sense of our purpose as a Municipal Energy Solutions team and the kinds of possibilities that exist for us in leveraging our budget to support you. I would say, consider us a concierge service for municipal climate change action support, because we were created to support you specifically. So today we can facilitate access to consumption data, something we did for more than 40 municipalities last year. We expect that municipalities use this data to plan, prioritize, validate, and evaluate various climate change action initiatives. We can also provide municipalities with historical DSM participation data for their communities and share research with municipalities to support planning and reporting activities. We can also collaborate with municipalities on larger initiatives, and a few examples include Durham Greener Homes, Mississauga Climate Leaders Program, and a multi-unit residential building pilot program we're supporting in the city of Ottawa. We are also supporting Quest and its Net Zero Community Accelerator program in Ontario, and have allocated funds to support a City of Toronto program in 2025, aimed at building municipal capacity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in corporate buildings. And aside from these larger collaborations, we also deliver a municipal climate action offer, our longest standing offer, or MCAO is what we call it. It provides a maximum of $10,000 to municipalities to support climate change action. In 2023, we provided more than $400,000 in MCAO funding, which is the largest single year investment made through the MCAO to date. Municipalities typically use these funds to develop corporate and climate change action plans, and action them through initiatives like green development standards, retrofit support services, and municipal building performance standards. So while municipalities are in various stages of climate change action, I think the MCO really allows us the flexibility to support municipalities at different and multiple points of the climate action journey. And essentially, how it works is municipalities leverage the financial support of the MCAO to offset the costs associated with an eligible spend, and that can include a corporate initiative for sure. The MCO happens to be the first offering in a toolbox of support offerings that we're working on to develop for municipalities. That's my primary role on the MES team. This year, we did add a revamped home energy retrofit orientation or HERO workshop, which we deliver to homeowners in partnership with Humber College. And it helps homeowners better understand heating, cooling, and ventilation, how to undertake a home energy retrofit, and encourage them to act. And we added a Building Beyond Code offering delivered in partnership with Building Knowledge Canada and EnerQuality. And it is delivered to municipal staff, so people that work for the municipality who would benefit from a better understanding of energy efficiency regulation in Ontario and the building science of energy efficiency itself, all to support the achievement of local climate action goals. The first of these sessions was delivered in May to the City of Markham, and a fall session is in the works. For both of these offerings that we added this year, there's a host city. So it's either the residents of that host city or the staff of that host city that are ultimately the target audience. So as important as conservation is to the energy transition, we know that it can't get there. We can't get us there on its own. So when we're developing a toolbox offering, we're focusing on supporting the municipal capacity to tackle climate change, but in a way that doesn't duplicate any supports already delivered through existing DSM programs. We look at ways to support a municipal activity that's already underway so that you can do more of it. We try to create capacity for a municipality to undertake an activity that might not otherwise be possible without partners like Enbridge. And we always tie it back to that guiding principle of conservation that I referenced earlier. So I'll leave you with one example of an offering that we're currently exploring through a commercial decarbonization pilot. So the pilot involves commercial buildings more broadly, but commercial buildings includes municipal facilities. And should we proceed in 2025 with a toolbox offering, what we would be doing is providing an assessment of a municipal building at no cost to the municipality. The assessment would primarily produce a high-level summary of options for decarbonizing that building's heating load, but it could also include water heating and building ventilation if those systems are separate from the heating system. And if they are, we'll propose similar options. Options would be inclusive of both partial electrification and full electrification. So the objective is to outline solutions that promote partial or full fuel switching with various high efficiency solutions to reduce the carbon footprint, while at the same time considering the specific needs and constraints of each building being assessed. The intent is to also assess the implications for the electrical capacity of the building and include consultation with the local distribution company such that high-level upgrade costs and utility costs of the building with and without implementation can also be included. So both the site emissions as well as overall emissions from the building energy would be quantified, so scope 1 and scope 2. And that's just one example. We know how focused municipalities are on their own emissions. It's what all of you on the call do every day. So as a team, we expect to continue exploring opportunities to support corporate initiatives through the MES team and through our budget. Yet that could very well be through future commercial DSM programs that are better aligned with municipal climate action objectives that Andres is in a future session talking to you about, or it could be through our budget in municipal energy solutions and our toolbox of municipal support offerings. Enbridge's multi-year demand-side management plan to the Ontario Energy Board this year will definitely include a budget ask so that we can continue to fill that toolbox and support you further. So stay tuned. And I'll finish up with a map and a legend. And what it does is identify who your municipal energy solutions contact would be. You simply match your municipality to its region and color and make the connection, even if that's only to share an idea about how we can support your climate change action efforts going forward. I assume this deck will be shared after this section. Me in particular, I have accountability for the City of Toronto only, but you can see how it shakes out everywhere else. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Mark, and everyone, the speakers today. Yes, you're right. We are going to be sharing the recording and the slide decks to everyone as well who registered, because some folks could not join us today. So thank you, everyone, for the thank you, speakers, that being on fitting in the time slot that was provided to you. We are opening now for questions. Feel free to unmute, raise your hand, or write the question in the chat. But the idea here was that this meeting was just to highlight the programs in market, and we are asking you, the energy managers, to think what are your needs for your net zero roadmap, and how they can fit in the future frameworks. And as mentioned, we'll be having a meeting with you to discuss in more details what are these needs. A quick question to all panelists. How can municipalities best contribute to shaping the future of these frameworks to ensure that they align with local energy efficiency and sustainability goals? Where is there structured stakeholder meetings that are coming up?
Yeah, so I can add to that. So actually, as of recently, in the last couple months, we reached out to municipalities just to have them come in or have a stakeholdering event so that they can give us their input on, how the framework can be set up to best serve their interests and their goals at the end of the day. So a lot of municipalities have participated, and definitely, like, if there's a next cohort of participants that we need, just be active, continue to participate in these type of studies. And yeah, so I'm not too sure if Mark Wilson, you've had some similar experience, but that's how we've been trying to best address the municipality needs from the commercial perspective.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it makes sense for me to jump in. I mean, that's why we did the municipal survey. Admittedly, we didn't consult with folks on this call. Municipal Energy Solutions does, for the most part, work with climate action staff, that work in not so much with facilities, but more with community climate action. When we started off as a team, that's where the focus was. And while we won't really evolve as a team in terms of our structure, each of those advisors that you saw on the screen is just as capable of supporting corporate climate action as they are community climate action initiatives, recognizing the need for private sector action to take place for municipalities to achieve their objectives. So that's why we did the survey, because we wanted to inform the next generation of DSM programs to make sure that they weren't just serving commercial customers better, which includes municipalities, but also all of those other sectors in which climate action needs to take place and can be enabled by supporting programs where the municipalities need action to take place. I think everyone that participated in the survey, all 42 of them, they're going to get a copy of our demand side management submission. I know there are several, if not many, interveners who take part in that DSM proceeding and claim to speak for municipalities. So I will say that is true. Enbridge being one of them, better positioned to speak for municipalities in our submission. And so your voice is being heard. I've also pitched internally that we do a better job as a company in consulting with our stakeholders during a multi-year plan as opposed to the year of a submission. So sort of better position us, and just to highlight too, as a senior advisor, I mean, I create, 30+ page documents internally that compile all of the information that we learn from municipalities through the course of doing our work as a municipal energy solutions team. So that information is getting into our plan, is getting to the people that are creating the programs that municipalities need and that the other sectors need to fulfill climate change motivations and objectives. And so I would say more can be done, but the municipal voice is being projected in a number of ways, and can certainly be done more so through the OEB process itself.
Thank you.
And maybe I'll jump in, Vicky Gano with the IESOs. So there are two ways that we are looking to municipalities to provide input as we're moving forward. We are also just about to come out with a survey to municipalities, and this is coming from the IESO as a whole, both our demand side management as well as our planners. And we are looking at, first we're taking the energy data reporting that you have already provided to the Ministry of Energy to get a good baseline of what your current electricity use is right now. We'll be asking in the survey what your plans are over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the electrification process. So we have a better understanding of how fast your electrification is happening and what technologies you plan to implement for your municipal corporate buildings. We also want to get a good handle on what municipal policies have been approved by the climate action folks and by your municipal councils for the development, green development standards and other types of policies for other buildings and organizations in your broader municipal boundaries beyond your municipal corporate buildings. So the survey will allow for more than one person to provide answers, because we're expecting in many municipalities different people will have these different pieces of information. So we are finding in terms of grid planning moving forward, the electrification process is happening faster in some areas than in others. And so we want to get a good handle on how fast and location that is happening. So that will provide information both into the IESO's electricity, the planners, as well as in our DSM for moving forward. So there will also be an opportunity for you to provide input into what additional types of support and programs will be helpful for you in your electrification process. So there will be a couple of sections within the survey, and we can follow it up with a more qualitative questions around that. And as far as the new DSM framework moving forward, we are anticipating in the fall coming out and having a more structured stakeholdering of the new programs as they move forward. And there will be a bit of continuation of our existing programs. We don't anticipate lots of new programs in the marketplace in Jan 1. We anticipate that the existing programs will continue on, and the stakeholdering that we will conduct in the fall of this year will feed into new programs that will be designed and will be coming available over the course of the next year or two.
Great. No, thanks, Vicky, and we'll make sure to share the survey as well as the information about the DCM structured meeting. I do see that we're kind of at the end of our webinar. I'm just gonna be quiet a little bit and see if there's some raised hands or questions. But otherwise, something that we are planning, and as I mentioned it, I think it's going to make more sense for us, the Energy Managers Community of Practice, to meet in the summer, maybe in a few weeks from now, until it's like fresh in your head about the existing programs, and we can discuss what are your needs and how better to communicate that to both Enbridge and IESO for the future frameworks. And I think it makes sense to be in the summer because, as Vicky mentioned, in the fall will be kind of like the meetings happening for the new DCM framework. So we will be sending you the slides, of course, and the recording, as well as summary notes of today's meeting. And I'll be sending you also dates for next meeting where we can discuss internally some of your insights and inputs and how what are your needs for your net zero journey. With this, we are concluding today's webinar and meeting. Thanks everyone for being with us. Thank you very much for all speakers. And we'll be in touch with all the energy managers on the call. Thank you for joining. And enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.